Hello, everybody, to this edition of Kubewarden Community Office Hours. And as always, we have here some people of the Kubewarden team, maintainers and collaborators. I'm Victor. I will be your host for this meeting. I'm one of the maintainers, and we have Fabrizio.
Hi, I'm one of the maintainers as well.
We have also Jose.
Hello, another maintainer.
We have Flavio.
Hi, everybody.
And we have also John, which is part of the team. Oh, I think you are software muted, John. We cannot hear you. Well, I hope that, yeah, it may be that you have not appeared on camera, but that's it. Let's see later. Okay, with that said, as usual, Kubewarden office hours is open. You are welcome to bring any topic to these office hours, whatever comes to mind. And those topics get into the meeting agenda that it's public and it's in a docs, Google Docs. So for today, on this meeting agenda, we have the 1.15 release. We did a release last week, basically, and it came with some goodies, which are quite a mouthful. Apart from that, we have some changes to policies and general fixes. They are not shipped with 1.15, so to speak, no, but they are more or less in the same cycle. Then we have something to talk about the live stream that happened, so maybe you would enjoy it. And then we have a sneak peek of what's coming next. And talking about that, maybe we can just go with the first topic of the 1.15 release, which is we enhance the PolicyServer CRDs, no, with tolerations and more things. And I think that the best person to talk about this would be Jose.
Yeah. In this release, we changed the PolicyServer CRDs to allow users to set the tolerations to be used in the deployment. And that's basically it's a controller change and CRD change, so everything is working. And we take that opportunity to also address another user request, which is have a centralized way to set these affinity and tolerations. So together with this controller change, we changed our Helm charts to have a global value, which you can apply the affinity, anti-affinity, and tolerations. And that will be applying the whole stack, like the controller deployment, the PolicyServer, the full PolicyServer, and audit scanner, everything. So everything is in the yeah, thanks Victor for sharing. And that's the fields and an example how you can use it in the values file. So it's there, it's already released. So that's cool. You are muted, Victor.
Yes, thanks. And I love the Zoom window. So I was wondering, I think we also have some docs page for these things related to the PolicyServer, if I remember correctly, which
I don't remember, to be honest. Maybe yes, we have something.
maybe it's these ones. I don't know
yeah.
if we had something else, but yeah, as usual,
Yeah,
it's there in the documentation.
Yeah.
Maybe these are not specifically to this, but yeah, it's there somewhere in the documentation. Okay. I'm wondering on this topic, I don't think we have much else to say, no?
Yeah, I think that's it. If you want to, if you find something that you can be improved, let us know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just in case, I'm just gonna show super fast, no, the changes to the PolicyServer, because we are talking about the PolicyServer CRD changes. And basically that means, adding, if I'm not mistaken, we have here limits, requests, tolerations, no, tolerations is new, affinity is new.
Actually, affinity we had in the past,
Okay.
as far as I can remember. Yeah, we just
yeah.
added the tolerations. What maybe is worth to mention that if you are using an affinity from past releases, you need to update your values because the field to use it before to set the affinity for the is not there anymore. We move everything to the global one. So you need maybe update your values file before upgrading. Yeah.
Good point. This is for the Helm charts, and I think it was
Yeah.
on the changelog
Yeah.
and the blog.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Then we also did some refactor of the Kubewarden controller. Quite a big refactor. And maybe Fabrizio would be happy to talk about it.
Yeah, this is more oriented towards maintainers and whoever wants to contribute to Kubewarden, and in particular to the Kubewarden controller code base. We had planned this spring cleaning for a while, and at the end we found some time between these releases and the last one to actually improve the code base of the Kubewarden controller, which means kind of like refactoring everything to update the kube builder, because kube builder changes a lot. The folder structure and also like the make file has some utility updates, and then we needed basically to refactor everything and start using the latest version. Also, this improved also the code readability, which means that we can go faster and develop more feature. And yeah, the first thing that we wanted to develop was the policy group, which is the next topic. So we wanted actually to do some, clean the house to allow us to develop more features. And as a happy accident, we also reduced the time of the CI from 27 to I think 4 or 5 minutes. So whoever
is
wants
great.
to contribute now has like a clean environment. We use Tilt, so it's very, very easy. It's everything in the README and the contributing MD of the project. So if you want to, maybe you are not satisfied by just opening an issue, you want to solve the issue yourself, and we are, ready now to allow you to work on even more contributions.
And this reminds me, I mean, there's some tidbits now in the changelogs as usual. We moved to sub-reconcilers, which is a pattern that seems useful also.
Yeah, so we basically decided to use this word, which is a word which is, it means kind of like a pattern, and the pattern is basically using some shared code to do reconciliation, and it's a pattern which allows us to recycle the same code maybe for the policy groups. So yeah, I think that improved a lot the readability. So for a contributor, for an external contributor, it would be easier to get inside the code base, because everything is well structured now.
Sounds great. And you mentioned policy groups, so then maybe that can be the segue to the next thing in the list. So Flavio, would you like to talk about policy groups?
Yeah, sure. So this is a feature that is quite big, and being so big, we decided to split it across multiple releases. So what got into, so the purpose of policy groups is to compose new policies by reusing existing ones. So you take a bunch of Kubewarden policies and you then join them together using logical operators. So you can say this policy or this policy must be true in order to accept something. And you can, write, these expressions with, different logical operators, different precedents, by using round, sorry, I'm missing the English name. What is round brackets? Yeah, is that it? Oh, I was about to, good. And so we have these, RFC that describes how this would work. So for the, let's say for the end user, we will introduce a new custom resource definitions. there is going to be a class admission policy group, and there is going to be an admission policy group. So in the same way as we have, class admission policies and admission policies, it works the same way. The main difference is that, as you can see here in the spec, we have a bunch of policy. So like this group policy is using, the first policy is called 6-door PGP, and it is, based on an existing policy that Kubewarden has. And this policy is going to be used with the specific settings that you see below. And then we are going to reuse the same policy inside, but this time with a different configuration, all right? And then we will mix it with a completely different policy, the reject latest stack, which takes yet another Kubewarden policy. And the way we are going to combine them is by, using this expression below. So this is basically says, if the 6-door PGP, so if I can verify a container image using the public keys of some people I trust, then I immediately consider a pod deployment to be valid. And so we are going to accept it. But if there is a failure because the image has not been signed by one of my, for example, platform engineers, then this is where the OR condition kicks in. And as you can see, the second condition is, first of all, the image must be signed by a GitHub action. So it must have been built inside of a GitHub action, and the GitHub action owner has to be the GitHub organization Kubewarden. So we must, this image must have been built by the Kubewarden organization on GitHub. So the first condition is this one. But not just that, we are also going to require that this is not an image that is being pulled using the latest stack. So we could say, for example, it is fine to use the audit scanner image, even though the audit scanner image is not signed by one of my platform engineers, because the audit scanner image of Kubewarden is built inside of a trusted environment. And so it's signed by the Kubewarden organization. Plus, when we define this pod that is using the audit scanner, just making a random example, we are not using the latest stack. We're pulling like audit scanner version 1.15, just to make an example.
Okay. So then, if I understand correctly, we can just reuse several policies that are already now Kubewarden policies, and with this new CRD, we just
we
make an
mix
expression
and
out
match
of
them.
them.
Yes.
Exactly, and then we gain more functionality.
Yes. So these CRDs, they are not part of 1.15. They're going to be part of 1.17, but the work to support them is already undergoing, and it's looking pretty good. What we shipped inside of 1.15 are the changes inside of the policy server that are required to run this type of policies. And so if you can maybe, can you open the policy server GitHub repo? So generally speaking, this feature is already available, but if you're using Kubewarden to validate Kubernetes resources, this is something that you cannot use yet. You have to wait for the CRDs to be delivered. No, just open the README, please. But if you're running PolicyServer standalone outside of Kubernetes to validate, here you go, to validate any kind of stuff, because with PolicyServer you can validate any type of incoming JSON. So you can already start to use the policy groups. It's just a matter of writing the policies configuration file so that it looks in this way, which is the same configuration I've shown to you. So this is basically something that is already available if you are using Kubewarden standalone.
Okay, just one question. This expression, we expect cell language there.
Yes, we expect cell language to be there. It's going to be a stripped down version of cell because we want just to have support for logical operators. But yes, that's it.
Okay. Yeah, feels like a super nice feature, no? And given that the policies can also be written in cell and not be, purpose-built policies and so on that maybe one needs to be more careful with, it opens a world of possibilities.
Yes.
Okay, then as other feature of 115, we have match conditions. So we were talking about cell, no? In the expressions of these policy groups, we have a cell policy nowadays that accepts cell, and we also have a utility, no, in KWCTL that allows us to migrate validating admission policies into cell policies for Kubewarden. And one thing that we were missing is, as validating admission policies have, is this spec.matchConditions in the policies that allows you just to filter even more, no, for match conditions, so to speak, on those policies. And those match conditions were written in cell, and now we support them. So that means, let me just share the screen super fast again. Now that means that both the cluster admission policies and the admission policies have this new field in the spec. Let's just look, for example, at the cluster admission policy, that it's the match conditions. Of course, these match conditions is the same type as one would expect, no, for validating admission policies. And yeah, we just validate that. We validate that cell. We validate that cell with the same interpreter and same code that the validating admission policies do in the Kubernetes API server, no? And yeah, that's it. I wonder if I'm missing something about that feature, but yeah, maybe that's it. Okay, so that was 115. Of course, it was filled with more things, no, than that. We had some bug fixes for the audit scanner. We had bumps of things. We had also some fixes in the helm charts and so on. But yeah, I think that maybe that's it. And talking about fixes, we had policy changes. And for that, maybe Jose, would you be happy to talk about the user groups?
Yeah, we have the recently in the previous community call, we mentioned that we enable user group to validate container image configurations, and we introduced a bug there, which basically when the user configure the user group, the container image validation with run as any rule, the policy was validating the group for the container image, even if you don't want to do that. So that's fixed. And I think it's worth to mention that we noticed that this new capability, as it includes network access, it can slow down the policy evaluation, and depending of your environment, the policy server can shut down the evaluation preemptively because it's taking too long. So we may need to configure your policy server to accommodate that, or just remove the timeout. And then we update the docs to warning user about that as well. So if you are curious, you can check that. Yeah. You are muted again, I guess.
Oh man, yes. Every time that I move the Zoom thing, it gets. So I was thinking. So this happens now because the policy, being context aware, needs to pull layer and then the config layer and so on. So that's, I mean, it's how it is. We cannot do much there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And talking about policies, we also had some changes to the cell policy. We added some capabilities there.
Yeah, it's related because is also related to the new capability which we added in the user group policy in the previous release. During the last cycle, we added the same capability in the cell policy. So we should be able to request the policy container image configuration in the cell policy and do whatever you want to do with that. So it's there.
Which is great. No, we are keeping our promise that cell is a first-class citizen on the policies. So that's great. Okay, so we have what's coming next, a little sneak and peek, and we will be done. But first, I would like to make a shout out to Flavio that attended a live stream last week. Maybe you saw it in the Kubewarden Slack channel. This was a live stream for fence.io. There's a link on the Google Docs of the Kubewarden office hours. Flavio, some words about it?
Yeah, it was just a conversation, an informal conversation about Kubewarden. Why did we start the project? When some details about how it works, the different components of it, the advantages, disadvantages. So it gives you hopefully a good overview about Kubewarden, the project, and why you should be looking into that. And the people of Fence.io were doing that as part of a series of live streams. So I know that in the next one, we're going to have as a guest the author of a policy report, which is this UI that does so many things, including showing the audit scan reports. This is something that Kubewarden is using, Kubewarden is using, a bunch of projects are using. So that's just follow them. They're doing good stuff.
Great. And then we have the what's coming next. So a little sneak peek. We were talking about the controller and some refactor there. And maybe that enabled the changes that we are doing for dealing with certs. Fabrizio?
So yeah, this was planned since a while, but we always kind of like postponed. And now we were ready because we gained knowledge and on the topic, and also we cleaned up the controller. And what basically we are doing, we are moving away from cert-manager as a dependency. So when you install Kubewarden, cert-manager will not be needed. And we're gonna control our certificate issuing and rotation. And this has two reasons. The first one, we received feedbacks from users, then they didn't want to install another dependency on top of Kubewarden. And the second one is we wanted to do something that cert-manager cannot do, which is the CA issuer rotation. And also by being a dynamic admission controller, we needed to kind of like control how we create certificates for the policy server once you add like multi-tenancy, like multiple policy server to the to your cluster. So we already had an internal CA with some certificates being generated every time a user would start a policy server, but we were missing the rotation capabilities. So this fix is gonna be shipped, I think, with the 1.17. Most of the work is already done, 80%, but we are taking our time since it's a breaking change. Okay, it's not breaking for the user because it's gonna just update, but it touches a lot of things. So we are taking our time to test it, correctly, and so that's the reason why it's gonna be shipped in, I think, 2 releases.
Sounds good. Okay, so maybe for today, that's gonna be it. If you would like to know more, as always, come to the Kubewarden channels in the Slack Kubernetes server. And with that, enjoy the rest of the day. For those watching us on a recorded session, we hope that you enjoy and come by and say hi. Ciao, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.